This book, A Hippy Hoppy Toad by Peggy Archer, is absolutely delightful. It's one of my favorite stories. The language in it is so much fun. Before you read, you may want to talk with your child about what would it be like to be a toad. Can you imagine what a toad might do during the day and what sort of things might happen to it? What would a toad be afraid of? You may also want to ask them to use some adjectives to describe a toad. If they've ever felt a toad, they might be able to describe what it feels like, what it looks like, and use those adjectives to kind of get in their mind what a toad is like. During reading, just take time to enjoy the fun language. You may want to practice this one before reading it with your child so that you can do a really good job. And I would suggest reading it a second time and listening for the rhymes. Have them identify the rhyming pairs of words as you read. And you can write those down in pairs if you'd like, or just say them aloud. After reading, you can go back and find adjectives. This book has lots of great adjectives in it. And if you want to take that a step further, you can use those adjectives to describe something else, something different in the book that adjective would also fit and describe. This book also has some great verbs in it. So another activity you could do would be to go through and find the verbs. For a little bit of science, there is a food chain suggested in this book. Not a frog. You can also talk about the difference between frogs and toads. That would be some science. But the toad in this story is afraid of a lizard, a skink, because they would sometimes eat toads. And then the toad chases a cricket because he wants to eat it. So you could take some time and investigate food chains and food webs and draw your own, maybe one that includes a toad as well, but perhaps different animals that might be its predators or its prey. And there are some website links for you with resources to help with that. And finally, this is a circular story. So you'll see that the beginning page is the same as the ending page. We end up right where we started. The toad has an adventure in this book and comes right back to the beginning at the end. So you can have your child write their own circular story. See if they can think of an adventure that an animal or a character might have that would bring them right back to the beginning. For example, my dog loves his tennis ball, and if we don't put it away, he will stare at it and not leave it and follow it wherever it goes. So I could have a story that begins that my dog was lying in the yard staring at his ball when it began to roll down a hill, and then it bounced off a rock and plopped into a creek, and it floated down the stream until it was plucked out by a raccoon who climbed up and put it in a hole in his tree. And then a bird came and grabbed it out of the hole and flew off with it, but dropped it in our yard. And so my dog was laying in the yard staring at his ball. So that could be my circular story. Enjoy! Make sure that you follow or subscribe to us so that you don't miss anything. And thanks for joining me.